So, good afternoon, Abby Bat.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, oh, I'm good. Good, thank you. Well, it's a good day today because the sun is shining, so
Yeah.
it's good. It's really good. So, Abby, today, we thought it would be good, wouldn't we, didn't we, to have a chat about this whole area of mental health and
Mhm.
there's some of the stigmas that are attached to it in relation to the church and our own experiences of maybe walking through mental health issues. So we thought it would just be great to invite some friends in to just take a little sort of look into the things that we've walked ourselves and the struggles maybe that we've had.
Mhm.
And so I thought maybe at first, would you like to just start with just sharing some of the things, your own mental health and how that has sort of determined how you've been over the last few years and the struggles and the also the breakthroughs that maybe you've had and the things that have helped you with that and we can talk about that together.
Okay, cool. Um, so I'd say probably for me it's been about the past year and a half that I've kind of struggled with my mental health. And so there have been times in that year when it's kind of been okay and then up and down kind of moments. And I'd say it's still something that, I have to put a lot of focus on and really I feel like all of us do a lot of the time. Mental health is not just a one-time thing and you get over it, but you just have to always kind of keep going with that. Um, and so I'd say just one of the biggest things that has helped me has been accountability. And I think it's quite important that we talk about this in terms of, as a church, being accountable for people. And I feel like there can be so many mixed experiences with that.
Mm-hmm.
And even with myself, I've had some really mixed experiences. So I've told some people, and they've been super supportive and just really helping me, like, above and beyond what I could have asked for. And then I've told other people, and I've had some really difficult reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like all of us in church really need to be aware that anybody can suffer with mental health, and just kind of be prepared for how we might answer somebody if they were to come to us and say that we were struggling.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had any difficult conversations or really good conversations with people before.
Yeah. So are you asking, sorry, were you asking me? So yeah, so for me, my mental health, I had postnatal depression quite badly after my third child, and it seemed to go on for quite a few years. And since then, I have to really I'm just have to be really wise and just sensitive to actually how I am doing mentally. And I from that experience, I guess, and through walking it through with a mentor over many years, which was extremely helpful. I think one of the things, you're right, is that when you struggle with mental health, if you actually remain isolated in it and don't talk to anyone about it,
Mm.
the intensity of that experience increases, and there's such a sense of loneliness and sort of abandonment in it, that if we don't actually walk it through with other people alongside us, actually it's very unhealthy. So for me, that was really, really, really important, and drawing somebody else into that journey with me and helping me to understand what was going on, but helping me and equipping me to come to just to healing and to wholeness within that, and knowing the tools that actually God had put in my toolbox and learning to use them in that season. And still now, yeah, even now,
Yeah.
done. None of us have perfect mental health. And I think now, in terms of the season that we're in, that's being actually highlighted more. None of us, any of us, mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does it look like journeying with Jesus every day and bringing him into that context where there will be healing and deliverance, but how do we journey towards that, and what is helpful? So been helpful to you, Abby?
Yeah, I think that's really, I love the way that you just said that in terms of journeying it with Jesus. Because I think initially when I was struggling, I had a lot of kind of voices that would say to me, like, this is a spiritual kind of issue. And so I felt quite distant from God within that struggle initially, and it felt like, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Like, do I need to do something within my relationship with him to kind of change things? And also just a bit annoyed with God as well. Like, why is this happening? Why am I going through this? And all of that kind of thing. And I think my perspective has changed quite a lot since then, in being able to journey it with Jesus, and just knowing that I still don't necessarily understand it, but I know that whatever I'm going through, he's going through it with me, and you know, he'll be there for me. So I think that has been one of the biggest things, knowing that he's with me in it no matter what. And also just knowing the people that I have with me in it. So if I'm having a bad day or that kind of thing, I know that there's people that I can turn to. And I think for me, like, it's definitely been a gradual thing. A lot of the time you kind of just want overnight everything to get better, and you wake up the next day and you're living life well. But it's just been making small changes just in my day-to-day life.
Well, what does that look like for you? Because I can share what it looks like, what's looked like for me, but what does it look like for you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things has been resting, because I think I'm quite a driven person, and I've always been kind of quite work focused. And so if I wasn't doing something productive, I would feel really guilty. And so that has been something that I've kind of wrestled with. But I know that I don't have the capacity to be fully functioning all the time, and I do have to put rest in. And so just having a habit where I rest, not just on a Sabbath at the end of the week, because by then I could crash before I even get there, but just actually every day, just taking time to rest. And also like doing things I enjoy. So like with studying medicine, it's full on, and like
It's as well. I think you're around people that are full on as well.
yeah, definitely. It's a very pressurized environment, and I think a lot of med students would agree that they would feel guilty if they weren't studying enough. And so even doing something I enjoyed, there was like a bit of pressure of like, okay, you should only do it for like this amount of time or that kind of thing. But actually, we should do something we enjoy every day. So just being able to put those things in and take kind of that guilt and pressure off myself for being able to do them. And then I think other things, basic stuff like eating well, sleeping well, exercising, and just creating those day-to-day habits that they're not necessarily going to fix any of your mental health problems, but I think they definitely help keep your daily life balanced. So yeah, those are probably the things for me.
That's brilliant. I also want to put into context about just how actually the Bible has examples of people with mental ill health as well. You know, the Psalms are full of individuals crying out to God. And there's an amazing psalm in Psalm 42 verse 8. It says, you know, why my soul are you downcast? Why are you so disturbed within me? And then David says, put your hope in God, you know, etc. But there are, you know, very often there has been such a stigmatization, hasn't there, over the area of mental health, that I think for many people in the church, they dare not say anything because actually, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be feeling this. I shouldn't be, you know, be struggling with this. And actually I am. And I suppose one of the things that I just is refreshing for us having this conversation is that we want to destigmatize the whole area of mental health and well-being in the church. It's not that we want to remain mentally ill at all, because Jesus wants us to come to absolute fullness, and you know, and maybe, you know, maybe this side of heaven or maybe not, but he wants us to come to the fullness of health and well-being, as we see, you know, we read in Isaiah 60 the commission of the, you know, the gospel of the kingdom. But the reality of before, the now and not yet, and we're living in a fallen world, and we're living under lots of different pressures for different reasons, that, you know, we do find ourselves struggling with mental health. And actually, I think the church has, you know, because the stigmatization, I think, of the church, we need to actually be repenting from that stigmatization that we've put upon people from the past, because it actually prevents people from sharing. It actually prevents people coming in and breaking the cycle of mental illness.
Yeah.
Don't actually embrace it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And going on is thinking about the education and research as well, and our attitudes, our terminology, that we use as well is really critical when we are meeting with people. And
Yeah.
we are educated ourselves, you know, we're actually educated about this whole process. And before we start counselling or getting alongside people is really important, and that we're fostering understanding of issues and consequences.
Yeah. And I think it's especially important because when someone is struggling with their mental health, they are in a really vulnerable position. And so I think the words you say to them in that moment really matter.
Yeah.
And like for me, I'm quite passionate about this because before I struggled at all with my mental health, like I didn't really have much of a concept of what it even was. Like I think I had like an image in my head of what mental health issues look like, but it was very like disconnected from who I was. And like I wouldn't have known what to say to somebody if they'd come to me and said they were struggling. I don't know how like seriously I would have taken that. And so I think just knowing it can happen to anyone, and we do need to be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the statistics are actually really high at the moment, and
Mm-hmm.
anybody, like I'm sure we all know somebody who has struggled. So it is important that we educate ourselves on that. Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, and it's providing that generous, practical love, you know. I mean, one of the ways of the church responding to each of us with mental health is that being generous and just practical as well. It might be going out for a walk with someone. It might be, I don't know, just saying, let's go to, well, you can't go to the gym right now, but it's that sort of, or making a meal or sending a message or something. It, all those little things make a big difference. And connecting each other, help connecting us with helpful resources. And of course, I mean, faith-filled prayer for healing as well. I mean, all of these things, it's never one thing.
Yeah.
All of these things contribute, I think, should be contributing to the response of the church to our mental well-being.
Yeah.
How do you think, like, as you move forward, or I'm thinking to myself really, is speaking to myself rather, how do we want to lead people from like these conversations we're having this week? Where would we want, say some people are thinking, well, there's major issues here, and I'm not really sure how to start. My friend, she's really struggling at university. She said she's struggling mentally. Can you give some top tips of what you think actually maybe would be really helpful, like for a university student right now in Cardiff, and how could we help them?
Okay. So I do think it can be difficult to support people with mental health, and I think that everybody is different. And I think also, if you ask the person, what can I do to help you, they're probably not going to know the answer. Because for me, I didn't even know how to help myself, let alone how somebody else could help me. I think the biggest thing that I could possibly say would be just to love them, and whatever love looks like to you, like that's what you should be doing for that person. And I think it's so easy for them to feel alone or to feel judged, and all of those things are literally the worst thing that they could feel right now. So just letting them know that they are loved, and that you love them, whether that's a phone call or, like you said, a message, like any of the small things, but letting them know that they are loved, that they are cared for. But also not making promises that you can't keep. So if you say something like, oh yeah, I'll meet up with you every week until you get through this kind of thing, and then after 2 or 3 weeks you kind of leave them, I think in a way that will make them feel a lot worse. So just letting them know that you are in it for the long run, but only if you really are in it for the long run with them.
No, that's good. That's really good. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Abby. It's a little bit, isn't it? I mean, there's so much we could say. And maybe
be here for hours.
Conversation starter, which leads to a sofa encounter in the next years. And we were just thinking today, we would love to do a whole day conference, maybe next year, Urban Crofters, on this whole area of mental health and well-being. It's a real issue for us all in the present day. but in cities worldwide. So we're looking forward to maybe looking at that in the coming year. But thanks so much for your time today. It's been great.
Okay.
And yeah, just love being with you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.